Hello, Brody and Cassandra. I am so excited to hang out with you guys. Brody, are you 11?
12.
You're 12. Okay, forgive me. Are you going into 7th grade?
Yes.
Did you throw a cat?
No, it was a dog.
Oh, okay. How did you decide? Because we believe, right? Like in the field, everybody who has a major purpose in life, and this is only one of your purposes, you're gonna have a lot in your life, but if you're called on, right, by something bigger than all of us, I call it God, you call it the universe, the source, whatever. Oh, see, he agrees with me. Because dog backwards. Hello, God.
Go.
But you got called on to raise your hand and say, I wish people were kinder. But let's go back, because for people who don't know the story, what happened recently that kind of blew up?
What happened?
Nobody signed my yearbook, and then my mom posted it on Facebook, like all moms do. And
wait, what did she post? What did you post on Facebook, Cassandra?
I posted a picture of his blank pages with a couple signatures, and then he also signed his yearbook himself.
Right.
So, what did it say, Brody?
I hope you make more friends.
So I posted that originally in the parent group for the school Facebook page. The parents, I also posted it on my personal page because my friends kind of know about the bullying that Brody's experienced throughout the last year. And then it really blew up from there.
They say you don't become famous overnight. Well, I proved that wrong.
Brody.
And you had a lot of celebrities writing to you, right? It wasn't just him. He was just one of many.
I had
So who?
Terry Polo. I had Russell Wilson. I have Paul Rudd. Who else?
The entire cast of
Dear Evan Hansen.
And
Cece from the Kardashians.
Cece Boosie, I guess. I think that's her name.
The original cast of Dear Evan Hansen or the current cast?
Current cast, including Gatton. Is that his name? The one from Stranger Things?
Well, it's the actor for Dusty in Stranger Things.
Yep. And then Jessica Phillips. She was in Law and Order SVU. It's just amazing. The outreach is lovely.
So let's go back a little bit. I'm so excited about this whole thing. Why do you think you were bullied for the last year? What happened this past year that made the bullying become big?
I actually don't know. It just happened. I don't even know what I did wrong. I think it was just me, who I am.
And is that really true? Because you're adorable. Who would want to? Maybe people want to bully adorable people. Maybe that's the thing. People are like, ew, he's cute and fun and sweet. Let's get on him. Is that what people?
I'll fight back.
Because you won't fight back.
Because I'm a pacifist.
He's very smart.
Well, he clearly comes from a smart mom. Okay. And what do you have to say to people who feel bullied right now, no matter how old they are, whether they're 2 or 102? Because people who are elderly also get bullied, and everyone in between, even big celebrities that are really famous and beautiful like J-Lo, they get bullied too. So what do you have to say to all those people?
Be yourself. If people don't want to be your friend because of that, well, then they're not good enough for you.
And you already had 2 friends, right? Write to you in the yearbook.
Yeah, Xavier and Chloe, and then 2
Levi.
teachers.
I thought it was Levi.
No, it was Xavier and Chloe, and then the 2 teachers, Miss Kim, and I don't remember.
It wasn't Miss Kim. It was one of the helpers.
Oh, the teacher's aides?
And then Miss Salazar.
Yep, Miss Salazar. I was his science teacher.
What made you want to write get more friends? Were you just sort of being silly to yourself, making a joke, or did you actually mean it? This is a goal for next time?
Both.
Oh yeah, because you seem like you have a really good sense of humor. Well, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about me so you don't feel so I'm hanging on a ledge. because it's a little naked, when you talk about these things. When I was in 5th grade, that's when the bullying really started for me. And it didn't really end until I was a freshman in high school. From K through 4th, I always had friends, and, I've always been like this, outgoing, trusting, loving, heart on my sleeve kind of person, wear birds and things like that. And fun dresses. And so I've always been this, and thank God the bullies didn't get to me, because guess what I'm doing now? I'm hanging out with people like you, and I get to teach people how to be better people, because I'm working on it all the time. So I'm constantly meeting people who are working at it all the time. But anyway, so don't stop being yourself. I love that advice. When I was in 5th grade, I walked up to a girl who was new to school, and she was wearing these really fancy, back in the 80s, maybe your mom is a little too young to know this, but there were these jeans called Edwin jeans and Cavariccis, and she had both of them. You didn't have that. Well, we had that in South Florida. So people would wear them. And when you wore them, that was like a status symbol that meant you were cool. Didn't matter if you were a jerk. You were automatically cool. Sort of like wearing Yeezys or something. So, yeah. So I walked into school one day, this new girl comes in with the Edwin jeans, and every guy is already like goo gaga for her. So I think, oh, she's the most popular girl in school. And she really was, instantly. And I walked up to her and I said, "Hi, I noticed that we're sitting together in math class. I'm Barbara Heller. It's so nice to meet you. And by the way, if I ever do or say something that upsets you, please let me know, because I really want to be your friend." She never spoke to me again.
Oh.
Like never, like not even on graduation from high school. I remember I was like, "Congratulations, we did it." And she was like,
Did she just look at you?
traumatized. Yeah, because like Evan Hansen's character, if you're familiar, Brody, with that guy in the musical, I mean, I didn't have severe anxiety at the time. That came later, but I definitely had my heart on my sleeve, and I really wanted desperately to have real friendships. So you're not alone. And I think that the more you are a really sensitive person, like in a good way, I think sometimes the bullies kind of flock, because everyone's so scared of that. And so it's an easy way to attack. And when you say you're a pacifist, me too. I have a podcast about bringing people together and seeing one soul. So I get it. I just wanted you to know that. Now back to you. Let's ask your mom something now. Mom, were you ever bullied in school? Is he taking after you?
Yes, I was bullied. I had a couple instances of bullying. Like in 6th grade, actually, some girls put dog poop in my backpack. That was fun.
Oh no.
Yep. And then in 7th grade, I feel like 7th grade, middle school is just hard.
Yes.
I think it's age group. 7th, my little group of friends, I was meeting them for lunch in the cafeteria, and there wasn't enough room at the table. So they told me, sit on the ground where you belong.
Ugh.
And
what is it with middle schoolers? Everybody's so mean.
I don't understand it. And I vividly remember just standing up and looking down at them and saying, this isn't even worth my time. And I walked away and never hung out with those girls ever again. But now they reach out to me. But to be quite honest, I was somewhat of a bully too.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? What
more specifically, there was this time, and I believe we were getting ready to go into middle school. This girl that I went to school with, she was actually my best friend. I don't remember what we were arguing about, but she wore a wig. She had a health condition, and I was the only person that knew that. And I remember telling her that I was going to tell the entire school that she had a wig. And she ended up changing schools and everything because of that. So, I mean, to be quite honest with you, just recently I found her on Facebook and I reached out to her and I apologized for my behavior.
That was my next question. Woo! Big points for you. How was that because of what happened with Brody or beforehand?
It's been bothering me since we were, sorry, Brody, enough.
I'm telling the dogs to go away.
Shh. Sorry.
You guys are so cute.
It's been bothering me since then. I replay that in my head, and I have replayed that in my head since we were young. And I did it because I saw how Brody was hurting, and I knew that I hurt her too. And when she replied back to me, she says, you know, I saw your son on the news, and she's like, I was wondering if you ever remembered what you did to me. And I said, I most definitely do remember. It was eating at me, just thinking about it. And she said, I forgave you a really long time ago, but it's so nice to hear that you acknowledged what you did to me.
How beautiful is that? What did that feel like when she forgave you?
I felt relieved. I mean, I just felt it's hard to even explain what you feel in that situation. I felt a wave of emotion. I felt happiness. I felt sadness at the same time, because obviously it affected her too. Enough for her to remember it the way and so vividly that she did.
Look how he cares about you.
He does.
That's a beautiful, beautiful story. And I appreciate you for sharing it, because you could so easily be like, no, I don't have anything in my closet. You know, like we all do. I remember one time when I was in 7th grade, the girls really got into bullying me in my face, and they would say things like, we're going to kick your, and they'd say a bad word. I said it over and over and over again, for like several days in a row. And I started to develop like a gastric issue. It went into my belly, and I was having ulcers since 5th grade because of these girls, but it got so bad because now they were going to be doing physical harm in my head. And you know, the mind is way worse than what could ever happen in reality. And so I just wanted to feel what it would feel like to do that to somebody else. And so I walked up to one girl and I said it once, just one time, like, well, if you don't do that, I'm going to kick your, you know, and I said it. And I'm telling you, God loves me so much that every single time I've ever done anything like bad or wrong, I get caught right away. I sped once in college. I was going 35 in a 15-mile-an-hour zone so I could get home to go to sleep on campus at the University of Florida. Got pulled over, had to go to traffic school. I did it one other time on the road going from Orlando home to Boca. And on I-95, I was going like 85 with all the other, you know, and I eventually made a sitcom called Traffic School, which almost was bought by Will Ferrell, but that's another story. But the point is that, you know, I remember the next day, this 8th grade girl who was her older sister, who was really like 15, but in 8th grade. So we know, you know, what was going on with her. And she's walking down like this, the hallway going, Barbara, does anyone know Barbara? And I'm like, oh my God. And I put 2 and 2 together. I go, that's her sister. I didn't know she had a big sister.
Looking for me.
I left campus. I stayed home for 3 days, terrified. I got her phone number. I called immediately and said, you know, I was just, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm sorry, I exaggerated. I would never do that to anybody. I don't even know how to hit anybody. I've never hit anyone. And my sister's like, yes, you have, you know, 3 years younger, but like a totally different thing. It was awful. Anyway, again, this interview is not about me, but I just didn't want you to feel alone. So guys, what can we say to the actual bullies? And Brody, this is going to be a hard question for you. Maybe not, because you're like a warrior, but out of all the bullies in school, and you don't have to say them by name because that would be rude and we don't want to stoop, but we want to get the word out there of like what they're doing. Could you explain one thing that really hurt you besides what's going on in the yearbook situation? Like, give us an example of something that happened.
This kid in school before this yearbook stuff, his name is
No.
Well, I'm not only gonna say his first.
Nope, we're not saying names.
Okay. This kid, he's not nice. He was annoying me all year. He was pretty much the cause of my suffering. And he made me cry in the cafeteria.
So Brody plays Fortnite. And what was he doing?
Fortnite all the time, just to get on my nerves. And it was only in these 2 classes, my third and fourth period, social studies and science, because we were in the same class for both of those, and it sucked. And I sat near him, and I couldn't get away from him. Couldn't do it.
It was more like harassing him about it.
And then he could see that you were getting physically upset, and he just kept doing it because that was his MO. Okay. What do you think was going on in his head when he started that? First of all, that's like really hard to do. I mean, I do voiceover, and when I have to repeat stuff over and over again for an animated character, it's really annoying. I can't imagine doing that for a whole period, let alone 2. That would be like, my jaw would hurt. So how do you think, let's call him James. I have no idea what his name is, but let's say his name was James. Inside of his belly, what do you think it looks like in there? Do you think it's like all peaceful and roses and birds like my dress, or do you think it's like, what's going on with him? What would make him do that?
A burning fire of internal pain.
Okay.
Well, not pain part.
No, for sure.
Could have
That's the only
pain.
thing. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, most people don't do that unless something's going on inside. If they're feeling really peaceful, there's no way they would do that. Maybe as a joke for a second, and then they'd be like, oh, that sounds like fart night, doesn't it? And then they'd laugh, and then they'd stop. But somebody who like just repeats it and just wants you to feel sad, that's because they probably feel sad too. So here's the question I need to ask you, and you do not have to answer it, but I'd appreciate it if you did, because it's something I ask all my guests. And it takes a lot of courage, but I can tell you have a lot of courage. So we're going to just go for it, okay?
About this.
Have you forgiven him yet?
No.
Are you going to?
No.
Come.
He's the one that said I was lying about the yearbook stuff.
Yeah, he also tried to say that Brody was lying about that happening.
This guy sounds super jealous of Brody.
And then like all of the other kids in the class jumped in and said, no, this has really happened. Like,
it's not, the world doesn't revolve around you.
Yeah.
Right. Well, his does, because if anyone's that committed to saying Fortnite that many times, you are his world. He's just really tempted to get a rise out of you. So you are his drug. You're his everything. Yeah. And the fact that someone would even say you lied about that, I mean, something is really not well with him. So let me ask you this, and I'm not into having breakthroughs, but I kind of am. And we may not have one tonight, but your mom just gave a pretty good example of someone who sounds like she was really tormented by something your mom said once, and it scared her so much that she actually changed her whole life and situation around it. Now, I believe that everything that happens to us is for us. So if this guy did this to you, you have no idea who you're helping by talking right now on my podcast, but also the whole thing that came out of it, the whole thing that came out of everything that just happened, how you're going to be involved with that organization, ugly and all that stuff, which we're going to get into in a second. Okay. This woman may have had to change schools to meet her future partner, or her whole life trajectory changed. I don't believe that it was just about you, Cassandra. And I think that just like your mission, Brody, is not just about this guy that I called James, whatever his name is. There's something bigger going on. Do you see that? So my teachers, and I have a lot of spiritual teachers, and I keep them really close because when I'm around them, I feel really powerful. And we should always be around people who make us feel really powerful in a good way. Right. So yeah, I could see that. So let me ask you this. Does it help you to walk around not forgiving him?
Yeah.
Why?
It makes me feel like I will always hold on to something, and he will always know what he did wrong. Because then if I never forgive him, then he'll never let go of it. He'll always be like, when will he forgive me? When will he, does he still remember me? Does he forgive me? he'll keep it in his head and he'll keep reminding himself that he's a bully and that he did something wrong.
Is that true?
I don't know yet. I haven't been to school. I hope so. I hope he stops bullying people.
Okay, but that's a separate issue. Is it true that if you don't forgive him, he will still be worried that you haven't yet? Did that happen with your mom's friend?
No.
Did your mom, as the bullying person, feel bad still, even though she already forgave her? Yeah.
Yes.
See, the thing about when someone does something really bad is that there's nothing you can do to make them feel worse.
On their permanent,
What?
on their permanent record.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with you.
And it's also burnt into your mind.
Yeah, but you're not forgiving them has nothing to do with that. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought you said you were a pacifist.
Yeah.
And I also hate to remind you of this, but your glow is really big, so I'm just gonna shine it right back on you. You being the light of teaching people how to forgive and move on is actually way more powerful than if you hold on to, and he did this, and then that girl in 2nd grade, and then this little number in 7th, and that little doohickey. That is just going to turn you into more of them, and you're going to hold on to the other side of that rope. You don't need that rope. Where you're going, you actually can't use any ropes.
It's the truth. I love that. And I wholeheartedly agree. We talk about that all the time, that we need to let some stuff go, huh?
I can't let go of everything.
But there's certain things that we got to let go of and forgive people for. I mean, if my friend from middle school was able to forgive me for what I did, do you think you could find it in your heart to forgive him?
Sure. My cold, dark heart.
Your heart is so not dark. It's so beautiful.
Oh, yes. You really are. You have a really good heart, son. How many people tell you that?
You.
How many hundreds of people have written you letters saying that?
You.
Oh, I wrote all of your letters? Okay.
Well, sometimes I hear what he's saying because he doesn't really know all those people so well, but he really knows you. And
Yep.
look at how your story and you being open about it has affected him. Because here's how I look at bullying. The only way a person can feel bullying behavior or feel overwhelmed by someone else's power is when they give it to them. Right? Like David and Goliath. David was so tiny and Goliath was bullying him. And eventually, regardless of whether you think that Torah or the Bible is true, it's a great story. And we've seen it so many times. I love the Karate Kid. I actually teach a class in it and how it relates to Jacob and Esau from the Bible. Because Jacob was this little scrawny guy and Esau was a big hairy man who bullied him, and Jacob wound up getting everything, like all the inheritance, and had to fight him in the middle of the night. And by the way, in the Karate Kid Part 1, which is the only one in my opinion, that's a good one, except for the Peter Cetera song and the second one, which is like a brilliant song. But anyway, I am the man who will fight. So he does the crane kick, and that's the exact place where Jacob was hit also. Isn't that crazy? And
that
he
is
sweep the leg, Johnny. Like, anyway. But back to you. So I hope that you'll take that tonight and you'll stick it in your heart, and because you're going to be going to a lot of places, the places you go, like you got a curriculum, son. You're going to a lot of places. So I want you to take that with you, because, and you can quote me, you can just say, someone told me this and I forgot her name, but she had a weird dress on. But remember that your part of the forgiveness process is the most important one. Because if you really want to decrease the amount of bullying and bullies that happen in this world, you actually have to take the rope and you have to put it aside and say, let's go. Give me a big hug.
Yep.
Because then you're getting your power back. There's no such thing as the bully. It doesn't even exist anymore because you let it go. And then you get to teach other people who have been in our position. And I say ours because you and I have both been bullied, so we know what it feels like to say, oh, you don't want to be bullied anymore? Just Elsa. Like
Let-
really, like bye-bye.
It used to be one of my favorite songs.
Me
Say
too,
that.
but then you listen to it a lot and then you're like, ew. Yeah. I wrote a song. It's a parody. I'll send it to you guys. It's about Elsa going through, well, Adina Menzel going through Whole Foods. So it's like kale
Ooh.
and more kale, and it's cute.
I
But
love
anyway, I do too. What would you like to tell all the bullies who are currently hurting people?
Stop it.
Okay.
Treat others the way you want to be treated. And if you don't pay attention to that, then you're a bad person.
And what do you want to say to the bullies' hearts?
Give it up. There's nothing that you can do.
What else? What do you think your mom would say to them?
Well, that's what my mom should say. I don't know.
What do you think I would say?
Stop now. Or I'm going to post it on Facebook.
And clearly that has a lot of power in it. Cassandra, what do you want to say to all the bullies out there?
Give people a chance.
Stop now. Or I'll post it on Facebook.
No. Give people a chance. People might be a little different from you. They might not be your cup of tea per se, but just treat one another with kindness. It's not worth it. It's at the end of the day, being mean, the way that you are being mean can affect somebody more than you will ever know.
For sure. And how about to their heart, like, give yourself a chance. You know, there's that saying, the golden rule, which actually comes from a rabbi from many, many years ago, Rabbi Hillel, who said, treat others the way that you would want to be treated. The problem with that is that nowadays, because we're seeing it so much in the world, most people don't really know how to treat themselves. I'm going to call him James again. He's probably treating you the way someone treats him at home. But more than that, he's treating you the way that he's treating himself, right? So what do you want to say to bullies now that we've just learned all this out? What do you want to say to somebody who doesn't know how to treat themselves with love?
If you're someone that you know that isn't treating you right.
Oh, themselves.
Oh, to themselves?
Yeah, they're not treating themselves right.
If you're not treating yourselves right, then go to sleep. That's what I do.
Self-care.
Yeah.
It'll clear your mind, and you'll probably forget about it in the morning because you forget like 90% of the things that you learned.
Huh?
You forget 90% of things that you learned the day before.
I didn't know that.
Well, there is a theory. Dr. Lipton, he said it, and then a bunch of other business people say it in a different way. Like, there's only a 4-hour work week. We're only using 5% of our brain.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Most of the time. And the only way to increase it is to treat yourself better and also to be as present as possible, meaning you have to let go of all of the pain, all of the suffering, all the negativity. And the thing about bullies is that they're like just swimming in that all day. They're just so triggered constantly. So they're always in fight or flight, which makes them very reactive and scary. Who was you probably already answered this, but who was the person you had to forgive the most in your life so far? Like, what was the biggest thing you ever had to forgive? Was it just now, like a few minutes ago when you said, I guess I could forgive them?
No, my best friend. I've forgiven him for a lot of things, and it's hard to say. I can't really remember it. It's like really faint, but I remember something that happened a while ago that like really affected me, and I forgave him for it. And of course he doesn't do it anymore because he knows, but it didn't make me feel good.
Do you remember what happened?
Yeah, but I don't really want to say it.
Okay.
I didn't know about it. Do I know about it? They were making fun of one of his medical conditions.
Yeah.
And what happened?
He made fun of it, and it made me sad. Really, really sad. And I forgave him for it, and he doesn't do it anymore. But I'm still something I hold on to.
It still hurts a little bit. Yeah. I'm sorry, that's very painful. There's a prayer that I say every night before I go to sleep. It's called the Bedtime Shema, and it's a paragraph, and I'll send it to you. And what I love about it is that I think you might like this too, Brody. It's really not about the other person. It's about you. And what it does is it clears the playing field so you can have a really good night's sleep. It's like the best sleep medicine ever. And in the first part of the paragraph, it says, please God, forgive anyone who hurt me intentionally or unintentionally, like that lady who cut your mom off earlier in the car, or the guy that rolled his eyes at you at the grocery store. And you were like, dude, that was so rude. And your mom was like, just get in the car, forget about it. And you're like, but, and he didn't even know. And maybe it wasn't even you that he was rolling his eyes at, but you took it on as your own thing. So that clears all that up. But then do you know what it says right after that sentence?
What?
It says, please forgive me for hurting anybody intentionally or unintentionally. And then it says, in this lifetime or the ones before, because I believe, as do a lot of other world religions, that we have not been here just for now. We've been here many, many times.
Brody, what do you talk about?
Reincarnation.
Yes, sir. So how cool is that little prayer? And I say it every night before I go to sleep, and I'm always right away.
Brody's all about reincarnation.
Well, obviously, you're an old soul. Hello.
Why would you make more souls if you can just reuse them?
Exactly. According to Torah, we're all just shards of like the same one soul. But there are people, and you'll feel this as you go on in your life, and I'm sure your mom does too, because she's very spiritual, you could tell. And she had you. But there are soul groups. In other words, like when you met your best friend and you just feel this kinship with them immediately, and you're like, oh my God, I feel like I know you my whole life. That's somebody that's probably in your soul grouping that's like really, really close to you.
I was 2 when I was friends with him.
You've known him almost your whole life.
I've known him for the majority of my life.
And you're so lucky. There are so many people that get bullied that have not one friend, especially during the pandemic. My mom used to say, as long as you have one friend, you'll be okay. You could at least have one, do something. And I always had at least 1 or 2 friends because she raised the bar that high. And then when I got to high school, I wound up being friends with everybody because I did a play, and I heard you're into theater. And doing that play and being so courageous on stage, people were like, whoa. And then I went to theater camp with all the other theater nerds, and it was heaven. And I was like, oh my God, I'm actually really cool. I have friends. I'm friends with everybody here. And I'm funny and I'm smart. And people say I'm beautiful. And then I believed it because it really has an effect on you when people tell you that.
It does.
Mhm.
I wholeheartedly agree. When you're around that positivity all the time, you're going to be more positive. You're going to be happier with yourself. You're going to be happier with everybody around you. I mean, even just since all of this has happened, I've seen a shift in Brody. Like, the positivity radiating from him has been absolutely amazing. He was getting in a pretty dark place for a while there.
I was depressed.
Yep. Yeah, I would definitely say that. And I mean, I see him pulling out of that darkness, and it's beautiful.
Thank God.
I'm sort of in it.
Sometimes.
I'm still taking my medication for my depression. So I still have my depression, but it's not as visible.
You're feeling a lot better.
I'm still going through things in my head, but on the at least on the outside, I look okay.
We're getting better, aren't we?
Yeah. I'm gonna go from the outside in.
Yep.
So cute. And what would you say to other kids that aren't as far along with their letting go of their depression as you?
A lot of things.
Let's hear it.
Well, just if you really need help, go maybe get a therapist or 2. I have 2 therapists. Get a therapist, and if that doesn't help, get more until it does help.
Or different forms of therapy, huh?
Yeah.
Because they're different. They're teaching you different things.
Each one has their own technique.
Yep.
And if none of them work, medication.
Or both.
Or both, a little bit of both. But what if those kids are scared to talk to somebody? What if they don't have somebody to talk
An
to?
introvert?
Yeah, like what if they're afraid to tell people how they feel? What do you think? Who do you think they should reach out to first? Who's
Oh,
the
your mom.
Parent, whatever.
teacher, maybe?
Teacher, whoever you trust. And if you don't trust any people, trust some people.
There's also helplines. Remember we were talking about that? There's
Yeah.
helplines for people that are in crisis. Isn't it 988 now?
I'm part of a mental wellness group on Clubhouse, which is an app. Myself and these 5 other moderators are on it every week, but then we have like 15 other moderators. We're all experts. I don't know how I became an expert, but somewhat of an expert in mental wellness. And so I teach people about mindfulness and creativity and making books like this out of painful stuff. This is my book called And Then One Day the World Coughed. It's about the blessings of the pandemic. And I made all the pictures, and I was in a really sad place the second week of the pandemic, as much of us were. And I decided to pray to God for some help. And this whole book came out. And so I teach people how to do stuff like that. When you're anxious, it's like the best time to create something. So, but anyway, so 4 hours a week for the last year and a half, we've been on the phones with these people, and hundreds of, thousands of people have been through the room, but hundreds of people every week come in, and we've saved some people's lives as far as I know. So
I love that. I love that. It's so important for people to have that community and that support system, even if it is on the internet, if
an
it's on
audio app. Yeah. It's like one big party line. Everyone's talking on the phone. Yeah.
I know. I'm still waiting for an invite to Clubhouse, by the way.
Oh, you can totally, there's no more invite needed. And I can send you a link to ours. It's every Wednesday from 4 to 8 p.m. Eastern. So just come in, and you can come in, Brody. You could be on stage. I can get you on the stage if you want to share.
Nope.
People would be so inspired by you.
I am an introvert, and I have stage fright. I am an introvert. At home, I am a talkative person, but right when I leave the house, it's a whole different story. That is how it is.
Well, I might be able to help you with that. That's something I do. I get people to speak their magic. So if you want, we can do some lessons. But where do you go from here, Brody and Cassandra? What do you do? What have you found as your new purpose in the world after this year?
Foundations like the Ugly Foundation, Jordy, and the Brody and Jordy. It's Jordy.
We're working with a couple nonprofits.
That's awesome. What are you guys doing with them? Tell me.
Yeah, we're brand ambassadors for the Ugly Foundation. We're just spreading awareness to try to end bullying forever. We're bringing it to light, like 1 in 5 kids each year will be bullied. Just bringing out those statistics and making people aware of what's happening. It's a good place for us to start. And then we're working on a couple things with some other folks. But yeah, we're really just trying to spread awareness, and we really do want bullying to end. We don't want anybody to feel the way that Brody did, or the way that my friend did, or the way that you felt when you were younger, or the way that I felt. Nobody should feel that way. We should all be kind to one another. And I really hope that we can have a happier, more inclusive community for everyone.
Yeah. What do you think makes people more kind? What's the secret ingredient?
More kindness.
Well,
that's true. Kindness breeds more kindness, but how do you even get there? What do you think it is? What's missing today? What do you think the kids and the parents are missing? I'm sure you've got a lot of time to think about it.
Yeah, I think we're not present anymore. Honestly, I think that we are able to do bullying online because you're behind a screen. You don't get to see somebody's reaction to what you're saying to them. You don't know how that's affecting them. I think during the pandemic, we spent so much time away from one another that we have to relearn how to be social again. I mean, if you really dig down deep, we're supposed to be social creatures, and we were not for what, 2 years? And it's just,
We're still not social.
I think that
You're
I-
definitely not right now. I mean, I feel so antisocial vibes.
No.
so-
No,
Definitely not right now. I mean, I feel so antisocial vibes.
No.
so-
no,
Brody,
No.
stop, son. Sorry, it's hard to keep a 12-year-old entertained.
no. Word.
See, that's what I'm talking about. The phones. I think that that's a huge problem. Honestly, I think we need to unplug.
But they're
And
also
get
a
to-
great tool.
It can be, yeah.
They are a great tool.
But they're even better when you don't have them in your hands for a long time during the day, because then you can actually use them and not just be hypnotized.
Like zombie out when they're playing. I can be talking to them and they don't hear a word that I'm saying. Don't you agree?
It's because, well, you sometimes enjoy the peace and quiet.
Oh yeah.
Right,
I'm-
we're all guilty of that. Here, take my
Oh, yeah.
phone. Take my phone. Yeah.
Mhm. I have no shame in admitting that. I've given my kid a phone so I could have 10 minutes to myself.
Sure.
I have a screen. I'm gonna stay still until ads come up, and then there'll be. I need food.
Isn't that so? Thank God for the ads. And
Yeah.
do you mind me asking, is there a co-parent in the situation, or is it just you?
So his dad actually lives out of state. He moved to Oklahoma when Brody was what, 5? You were 5?
Yeah, like
So
5
he's-
or 6.
Yep. So he sees him a couple times a year.
Like
But I have
annually?
my husband who has pretty much helped raise him. Been a great father figure for him too.
What's your name, sir?
Esther.
Oh, Esther. It's a girl. Oh, she's a Jewish dog. Hello, Esther. Queen Esther. I also Brody's a Hebrew name. I don't know if you knew that.
Thank
but-
you.
It's so cute. But I believe that what we're growing through now as human beings is like sort of like a war on spirituality or godliness, because you can see it, right? You can see that people are just so stuck in their stuff. And if we just kind of for a second could unhook from all the pain and all the misery that's going on, the crime, the panic, the disease, the bullying, and just said for a second, could you help us down here? And what can I learn from this, instead of it's all bad and China and Ukraine and all the stuff, Saudi Arabia, all the stuff that's in the news. We could just like pray a little more, or like connect and say, what's my purpose? What can I do with this, instead of getting bogged down? Do you see? Then I think we'd actually have a chance. And if we saw the godliness in each other and ourselves, how on earth could we be cruel to each other? It just wouldn't. So that's what I'm selling. That's what I am doing here. So if there's any way we can work together, we've done such a good job. So I have a little baby crystal ball in my hand. So if you could, and here's a treasure chest. So if you could look into the future and give one treasure to every single person on this planet, what is the one thing you wish that every single person had? A tool, something that has worked for you, that you think everyone, if they all had it, the world would be such a better place.
Everyone would be the same.
So, see One Beautiful Soul in the title. It's all about the fact that we're actually one. We're all God, right? We all have God in us, outside of us. We were breathed into, right? So if everyone knew that, everyone knew they were divine, they had a spark of God, and they knew that everyone was related to that person. It wasn't like, oh, you're this religion, or you're this color, or you're this background, so you're different than me. Like deep down at our essence, we're actually the same, right? Is that what you want everyone to know?
Yeah.
I
We're all
wish-
equal.
Well, I wish that physically and mentally we were like all the same, because there would be no racism, because everyone would look the same. There would be no more bullying because everybody looked and acted the same way. The world would be better. 'Cause
Would it be better if that was true? Or is it really cool that we all eat different things, speak differently, have all these different concepts and cultures, and at our core, we actually have to look for the fact that we're all the same?
It's
Love that.
it's cool, but I nuts.
I think when you're in middle school and everybody's so hung up on what you're wearing and what you look like, that's when it would be nice if everyone looked the same. But I think God is kind of testing us to look beyond that.
Be more individual.
And when you close your eyes and you meditate, you actually can really see that everybody is really the same at our core.
Power to fight back.
Really mean not that we should all fight back physically and verbally, but that we should take our power back, just like you did before when you were like, this guy's trying to Fortnite me, but I know deep down he can't hurt me.
Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
It's been so fun hanging out with you. I hope you're not completely bored out of your mind.
I'm not.
Brody,
It's
thank you for
Well
being
done.
such a light. And I really want to thank your mom, because if she didn't have the courage to be honest and post that, and if she didn't have the courage to talk about what happened with her and her friend and really feel what happened with her friend and really own it and then share that with you. I don't know. I mean, I know you're a hero, Brody, for so many people, but I really feel like it's your mom too. Like you're twin heroes. You're Shiro and Hero.
Chiro and Hero.
And I like Cheerios, especially Honey Nut Cheerios.